So, as part of my general hustle, I am most excited about what I have to do to continue to create content. And it requires that, number one, I continue to do my day job well, but I also gather up content and support from other sources. For a minute there, I tried Fiverr. That was exciting, but I'm limited by my day job. However, there's certain ways that you can actually publish links, Instagram, Facebook, on your blog, that will allow you to fund your passion project. Writer's Block Coffee is one of those things. Not only will it allow me to benefit from my own purchases, I'm actually my best customer, but it also supports what my intent is for this coffee. Writer's Block Coffee has actually been trademarked, and its mission in the industry is to supply writers with those working inside the publishing industry with finest coffee, provide revenue opportunities like me to publishers and other businesses through coffee products. And it's supporting book marketing efforts with custom labeled coffee, which I am drinking as we speak. Writer's Block Coffee bridges a gap between the coffee and publishing industry. Coffee shops are great for hosting writing and reading activities, but their services stops at the door. That's where Writer's Block Coffee starts. By offering coffee for every stage of a book's life, from the writing to the marketing, Writer's Block Coffee reimagines the role of coffee as a partner and not an accessory. This experience informs every step of Writer's Block that Writer's Block Coffee takes, from the taste of the coffee to the shape of the partnerships. And I am a proud publisher of the links for you to enjoy this coffee too. So navigate to writersblockcoffee.com/Tinfro is reading to find out about this, as well as the swag, and also enter the Tinfro is reading promo code in to get 10% off of your order and shipping. And tell them that Felicia sent you. Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Bubba Truck. Its 10-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new nerd life and new nerd civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. With every cancellation, every postponement, now is the time to start reading. And it was never like there was never a time to read. Books are king. That's how we're going to increase your knowledge. And if you love to save on books, movies, and music, you've actually come to the right place. Navigate to Alibris.com, a premier online marketplace for independent sellers of new and used books, music, and movies, as well as rare and collectible titles. We connect people who love books, music, and movies to more than 175 million items from thousands of sellers worldwide. This is a partnership with independent professional sellers, and Marty and Dick, the founders, decided early on that Alibris would be an at-risk partner, not a listing service. This approach attracted a large number of independent sellers and now enables Alibris to offer over 100 million books for sale. This is more than Barnes & Nobles and maybe even Amazon together. Right now they have a $20 off sale, and you can use coupon code NORA, N-O-R-A, to take $10 off of an order of $75 or more. You can use Roberts, take $20 off of about $135 or more. And then you can use Storm, S-T-O-R-M. I will have all of these coupon codes as a reminder in today's podcast. So again, navigate to Alibris.com for all of these deals and more, and tell them that Felicia sent you. Now back to the podcast. Welcome to this week's episode of Over 40 and Unapologetically Nerdy. I'm your host, Tennessee Fro. In this episode, I'm going to choose to live. I'm going to choose to live sanely and hopefully learn more of my history so not to repeat the past. I'm also going to be reading myself happy as far as reading Sophie Kinsella, My Not So Perfect Life. I'm going to be talking about cocktails, cooking, and TV in the times of Rona. And also, spoiler alert, as far as this week's final or season finale of Star Trek Picard. It is tearjerker, and you won't want to miss it. And thank you for joining me this week. One of the things I have always really liked about working from home is my ability to get up and walk around and do other things, like record segments of my podcast. But in particular, I love the fact that I get to cook from home. So when they told us to shelter in place and restrictions on movement, I had already been doing this since the last summer of 2019, so this was a no-brainer to me. But I am now that I can't move and go to places and get food and supplies and things, I've become more interested in, or have become more interested in trying to get different, or how can I succeed in a variety of food, because I don't want to get stuck on eating, the same old, same old. I discovered this past weekend that even though I was going to cancel my Blue Apron, subscription, which is the food service that you can get monthly, I changed my mind in the wake of Rona, because they actually started making available other types of meats besides chicken, recipes, and not everything has capers in it. So with that said, I felt a lot better with the food choices with Blue Apron for the month of April and month of March going into April. However, Corona has also allowed or made me have to come up with other ways to get supplies. So I get deliveries, and I also wanted meat, and I'm not going to be able to get to the Chesapeake Bay or even Baltimore for that matter to get my seasoned crab, but I can get a lot of those things delivered. And in fact, I had I took my first order from Omaha Steaks, which not only included the sirloin beef tips that I simmered in I think it's called Jalfreezi simmer sauce, which is a medium hot combination of sweet peppers, coconut, and other spices. But I also took delivery for a Malbec. I got it basically a case and a half, and basically did pair really well with that. And the Thai fried rice, which all of those things in the spice, it just basically enhanced all the different flavors from that sauce with it. But it also just made me think of the importance of pairings and trying out different things. And with Blue Apron and some of my other deliveries, by Wednesday, I have enough food that I'm all cooked out by Wednesday. And that means that I can possibly then start all over again by Thursday, like today. Cook the food that I actually cooked on Sunday, restart, finish up those types of things, and have like a different meal that I cooked previously. And for single people and for people that have never had to live through rationing, I'm hopeful that this time of Rona, we're not going to have to ration or go into like gas rationing and food rationing with the coupons like they did back in the day during World War II. But you can actually submit yourself to sticking to portion sizes, using the bare minimum of like paper and cleaning supplies, and being mindful of the bounty, how you can use like or rip off the smaller um, pieces of paper, or start utilizing dish rags and reusable hand rags just for that reason, because you're not going to get or be able to get your re-up or a supply, because those things are in demand. I checked on Amazon today, and new toilet paper that uses recycled paper is on back order until like May. Even if you get it then, you may be lucky and maybe get the last couple of rolls from delivery if you try Instacart, or I don't know if it depends, and I think it's probably state dependent, if they even have it available that you can get, take delivery for paper towels and things like that, even from Walmart. So I don't know what to tell y'all. Early hoarding, it's real, y'all. Be very, very careful, and only order what you actually need. You're not going to need 100 rolls of toilet paper. That should, unless you have some bad diarrhea, that's not going to be needed, and it's necessary, especially if you're only one person, or even with a family of 4 with diarrhea. You're not going to go through 100 rolls of toilet paper. And also be mindful that you don't do stupid things like stuff up your toilet, because you may not be able to get a plumber or roto-rooter in to unplug the damn toilet. So with that said, just be careful and consider buying some Drano if you get your if it's just a simple clog, because you don't want somebody potentially coming in that could also spread the virus, but at the same time, you don't want to potentially give them something, and also you may be waiting for a really long time. So just be mindful and stop the hoarding crap. So the next thing I wanted to talk about in this part of the show was what I've been watching. Now, I'm recording this segment of the episode on Thursdays, and the last in the series, the Star Trek Picard series, actually dropped today. And I love Star Trek, and I definitely love Picard. I did rewatch the first segment because I thought I had to, gather my thoughts in prep for the last segment. And in watching it, not only did it forget me or remind me about what happened in the previous segment, but it also gave me an idea about something that I'm considering writing for the fan fiction site. And it's about my play boyfriend Elnor 7 of 9 and the Fenris Raiders, the protectors of the universe. Now that the Federation has pulled back. So, but one of the things that I actually, or one of the shows that is never ceases to amaze me and never cease to be entertaining to me because of the simple shenanigans and tomfoolery of the participants on the show is 90 Day Fiance. This, I actually had the opportunity to watch the early release of the next in that installment yesterday also. And I'm going to just talk about this in general. 90 Day Fiance is a conceptualized show that follows couples that usually have met online or some type of social media. And they have, once they finally meet these people, most of the time they're in some type of electronic relationship. They usually don't meet them maybe a couple of times a year. And if they want to them to become citizens, that they have to marry them within 90 days of coming to this country. And it's all of its iterations. There's like 6 or 7 different iterations of the show. I've actually watched, of course, all of them. My favorite being Pillow Talk, as well as 90 Day Fiance, the first, before the 90 days. And what I'm intrigued is why people think and are so accepting of these people from overseas. There is a distinct suspension of reality. Nobody wants, I can't see myself being that vulnerable. I can't see myself being that accepting of someone that is so culturally different from me. With the exception of some of the cute guys, but even some of the cute British guy and the guy from Melbourne, Australia, it's just they're so culturally foreign. How acceptable is that? And trust issues. I have issues with people I used to see every single freaking day, let alone somebody that's 6,000 miles away and from a completely different culture. But by person or by character, and these people are characters, they are willing participants in just maddening dating shenanigans. The first of which is Lisa and what I call her fuckboy, soldier boy, from Nigeria. Lisa is a 52-year-old menopausal white chick from Pennsylvania somewhere. And she meets this guy online. He is supposedly some B-list rap star in Nigeria. He's about 30 years younger than he is. And seems to be a male chauvinist. But he's been lying to her. And they've had all these unrealistic expectations because he lies to her to keep her from going apeshit. And then he gets upset when she acts the fool around his colleagues and his friends. What were you expecting? You really think you're going to tell some white girl that she thinks that she is going to be number one in your life when she looks like a elf, a Keebler elf at that? That whole situation just makes me and infuriates me. Darcy has been on several iterations of 90 Day Fiance with her several-year relationship and eventual nasty breakup with Jesse from Amsterdam, I believe he was from. She basically befriended somebody else, Tom from England, who I wonder if he knows that she has seen that picture, if someone peeped him to what was going to go down and why he And the only reason why he wanted to meet up with Darcy, I think it is kind of noble and it's respectful. He doesn't want to break up with her through text or by phone, and they need to do a face to face. And Darcy, being the goofball that she is, doesn't want to face that this guy really wants to meet to break up with her. But then she would be mad if he tried to break up with her on the phone. So she basically doesn't want to talk to him or doesn't want to meet him because she knows what's up. He's going to break up with her, I think. But one of the things that I did notice is her face is a lot more fuller than the last tell all from last year. And it seems like she has had several fillers and her Botox gone crazy. Did she put on a couple of pounds because of stress, eating, or drinking? I can relate. I'm just asking. And aren't they both really playing games? Although his intent is noble, that he wants to talk to her and see what's up face to face. But at the same time, I think they are both media whores and want to still be in the limelight at any means, by any means necessary. Ed and Rosemarie from the Philippines, he basically goes left on her with the quickness. How are you going to ask her to take an STD test, even in spite of her telling you that she's only been with two different people? One of them is the father of her kid. But you won't take one, really? And then he knows he has really gone left because he books her at a different hotel. And then he said, oh my God, I think I blew it. Yeah, bro, you did blow it. And you're stupid on top of that. Then there's a guy, Jeffrey from Knoxville, Tennessee, and he's making Tennessee fro people look bad. But anyways, who meets his girlfriend in Ukraine, and then he blows up because she still is in contact with other Americans on social media. I think it was a complete overreaction, and if he hasn't lost her, he probably is really close to, because I wouldn't trust his crazy butt. He needs to be on sedatives for sure. Also, there's a lesbian couple also in also from Australia, and they said that they were going to wait and not kiss, but that completely changed once they got some champagne and got to the hotel room. I thought they were funny. There's a 60-year-old guy also from Las Vegas named David that he has obviously been catfished, and there was no way that that girl was going to show up. How are you going to only talk to somebody on a paid site and never Skype with them, never WhatsApp them? That's the craziest thing that I've ever heard. And then Yolanda, who's also from Las Vegas, I think she knew Williams was a catfish from jump, and she just wanted the opportunity to be on the show. So, and then there is another couple. The two from Australia, but they didn't show them on this current episode, so I'm not sure. I don't have anything to specifically speak to about the guy from Australia with the rockin' body and the googly eyes. I don't have anything to say about them. But I think there's going to be some BS because it's obvious that his brother can't stand her two children by two different baby daddy. But that's just me. So in the time of Rona, you still need a routine, and you still need to watch and do things that make you happy, like cooking and reading and watching shows like 90 Day Fiancé. And I hope you will tune into me on the next episode when I update. And I plan on probably updating 90 Day Fiancé or one of the other iterations of it for your entertainment pleasure. Thanks. So this is me reading myself happy. And I think in the short term, and this is only also for my mental health, is to read things that truly make me happy. And my this is meeting Sophie Kinsella's My Not So Perfect Life. And I'm picking up right now pages 9, and I will read for you from pages 9 to 13. I'm not exaggerating when I say Demeter has the perfect life. Believe me, it's true. Everything you could want out of life. She has a job. She has job, family, general coolness. Tick, tick, tick. Even her name, it's so distinctive. She doesn't need to bother with her surname, Farlow. She's just Demeter, like Madonna. Hi. I'll hear her say something into the phone that's confident, louder than average voice of hers. It's Demeter. She's 45. She's been an executive creative director at Cooper Clemow for just over a year. Cooper Clemow is a branding and strategy agency, and we have some pretty big clients. Therefore, Demeter's a pretty big deal. Her office is full of awards and framed photos of her with illustrious people and displays of products she's helped to brand. She's tall and slim and has shiny brunette hair. And as I already mentioned, amazing eyebrows. I don't know what she earns, but she lives in Shepherd's Bush in this stunning house, which apparently she paid over $2 million for. My friend Flora told me. Flora also told me that Demeter had her sitting room floor imported from France and is reclaimed oak parquet and cost a fortune. Flora's the closest in rank to me. She's a creative associate and she's a constant source of gossip about Demeter. I even went to look at Demeter's house once, not because I'm a sad stalker, but because I happened to be in the area and I knew the address. And why not check out your boss's house if you get the chance? Okay, full disclosure. I only knew the street name. I Googled the number of the house when I got there. Of course, it's heart-achingly tasteful. It looks like a house in a magazine. It's a house in a magazine. It's been profiled in Living, etc., with Demeter standing in her all-white kitchen. I can't trust all-white kitchens because of my being such a klutz. But I'm just saying, that's just me. I stood and stared at it for a while, not exactly lusting. It was more wistful than that, wisting. The front door, it's a gorgeous gray green, Farrow and Ball or Little Green. I'm sure, with an old-looking lion's head knocker and elegant pale gray stone steps leading up to it, which frightens the crap out of me because I would just think about it getting slick and me slotting down on my butt. I like those houses where you could just walk right in. No steps, just walk right on in. The rest of the house is pretty impressive too. All painted window frames and slated blinds and glimpse of a wooden tree house in the backyard. But it was the front door that mesmerized me and the steps. Imagine having a set of beautiful stone steps to descend every day, like a fairy princess in a fairy tale. You start every morning off feeling fabulous. 2 cars are on the front forecourt. That's crazy. A gray Audi and a black Volvo SUV, all shiny and new. Everything Demeter has is either shiny and new and on trend, designer juicing machine, or old and authentic on trend, huge antique wooden necklace she got in South Africa. I think authentic might be Demeter's favorite word in the whole world. She uses about 30 times a day. This is the voice of her associate or her assistant who wears knockoff clothes from the flea market, and it takes her an hour and a half to get to work on the tube every single day. So this is her summing up the material things in her boss's life. Demeter is married, of course, and she has 2 children, of course, a boy called Hal and a girl called Coco. She has zillions of friends she's known forever and always going to parties and events and design awards. Sometimes she'll sigh and say it's her 3rd night out of the week and exclaim, glutton for punishment, as she changes into her Miu Miu shoes. I take quite a lot of her Net-a-Porter packaging to recycling for her, so I know what labels she wears. Miu Miu, Marnie in the sale, Dries Van Noten, also quite a lot of Zara. Which of any of those I can't wear because my butt's too big. But then as she's heading out, her eyes will start sparkling, and the next thing, the photos are all over Cooper Clemow's favorite page and Twitter account and everywhere. Demeter is in a cool black top, probably Helmut Lang. She likes him too, holding a wine glass and beaming with famous types and being perfect. And here's the thing. I'm not envious, not exactly. I don't want to be Demeter. I don't want her things. I mean, I'm only 26. What would I do with a Volvo SUV? Especially if she ain't got no kids. That just makes perfect sense to me. But when I look at her, I feel this pinprick of something and I think, could that be me? Could that ever be me? When I've earned it, could I have Demeter's life? It's not just the things, but the confidence, the style, the sophistication, the connections. If it took me 20 years, I wouldn't mind. In fact, I'd be ecstatic. If you told me, guess what? If you work hard in 20 years' time, you'll be leading that life. I'd put my head down right now and get to it. It's impossible, though. It could never happen. People talk about ladders and career structures and rising through the ranks. But I can't see any ladder leading me to Demeter's life, however hard I work. I mean, £2 million for a house. 2 million? I know, girl. That's crazy. I worked it out once. Just suppose a bank ever lent me that kind of money, which they wouldn't, on my current salary. 193.4 years to pay it off, and live. When the number appeared on my calculator screen, I laughed out loud, a bit hysterically. People talk about the generation gap, generation chasm, more like generation Grand Canyon. There isn't any ladder big enough to stretch from my place in life to Demeter's place in life, not without something extraordinarily happening, like the lottery or rich parents or some genius website idea that makes my fortune. Don't think I'm not trying. I spend every night attempting to invent a new kind of bra or low-calorie caramel. No joy yet. So anyway, I can't aim for Demeter's life, not exactly, but I can aim for some of it, the achievable bits. I can watch her, study her, I can learn how to be like her. And also, crucially, I can learn how to be not like her. Because, didn't I mention, she's a nightmare. She's perfect and she's a nightmare. Both. This read actually tripped me out because, there was always a but at the end. She describes this woman who is at the top of her, top of the food chain at her company, who has seemingly multitude of material things, and there is something there that, just kind of just not quite right. Also, my last read on this book, she gets on the elevator with her boss and she's just complaining 25 minutes it took her to get in when her employee, probably looking no worse for wear, has taken almost an hour, hour and a half, hour 45 minutes just to get from her cheaper apartment all the way to that part of London where to work at this company. And she's completely unaware about the differences between her and her young assistant or younger assistant. So there is just such a difference. But this young girl seems to be mindful that about what she really wants and how she would want to live, but she's not willing to become the monster that is her boss, Demeter. And I think that's probably the coolest thing about me reading this book and what I'm learning so far. So stay tuned to the next time, and I'll read you a few more pages and discuss a little bit more of Sophie Kinsella's My Not So Perfect Life. So now we come to the part of my episode that is truly the main reason why I started my Over 40 and Unapologetically Nerdy series. I am a ardent or a self-professed, Star Trek nerd. And I always have been, and I'm unrepentant about it. And this week's episode, which dropped earlier this morning, is the last of the episode for this particular Star Trek series. And I have to say, it's probably one of the finest. The premise of the whole episode was an account of the end. And I think that it's just crazy because, it is in fact the season, finale. But in an effort to understand, as I was saying before my mouthpiece fell out, in an effort to understand the episode, you have to understand the whole premise of the series itself. Series 1 starts off with Picard in retirement. He has retired to his family's vineyard and has as his assistants ex-Tal Shiar Romulans. I thought that was weird, so I had to look it up. And if you look up the fan fiction, right before the explosion and one of the Romulan suns went supernova, Picard was to mount the largest evacuation of 930 million people, or was it billion people, that he was supposed to rescue and get off world and get safe from the supernova. And that's how my play boyfriend Elnor, during that period of time, he was left with some gangster Romulan nuns. They taught him how to fight. They taught him how to be truthful. And that's how I think he basically molds and becomes attached to very strong women. Therefore, his attachment to Seven of Nine. And also the leader of that sect. But I digress. Anyways, when the Federation decided to abandon the Romulan evacuation, Jean-Luc Picard overestimated his importance and he resigned, and they called his bluff, and he did resign his commission, and he went into retirement. This left a whole bunch of people hanging, from the Borg to the Romulans and the Synths. The Synths actually revolted and basically blew up and attacked the Federation shipyard, which then subsequently led to a ban on all synthetic life forms. We find out later in the series that this was all orchestrated by the Romulans, their own treachery, and it was because they were trying to seek out and find the home world and to stop the overtaking of the synthetic life form, because it was in a dream, and the Zat Vash, an even more treacherous sect of the Tal Shiar, main goal in life was to seek out and kill these life forms. The prophecy was that a twin destroyer was going to open up the sky, and these little entities, it seems like from a different realm, needed to feed and feast on organic life forms. And they were using the synths in order to fulfill this prophecy. The XBs, prior to all of this, in the last 20 some odd years, the Borg threat had basically been neutralized. And on the Borg cube, which they thought was an artifact, was Hugh of Deep Space Nine fame, and a simulated Zhat Vash priestess was on board. And it ends up that the artifact helps save Picard again, through the help of Seven of Nine and people just choosing to die, and my play boyfriend Elnor giving them that choice. It all comes down to Soji having to get back and warn her brethren and her sisters on her home world. And that's where the ragtag group of followers come into play, because their goal is to get Soji back and to protect them. And if you rewatch, and I rewatched the last episode, and I've rewatched the 10th episode multiple times today, but what I was struck with was how each episode built on every subsequent episode, and the climax was this 10th episode, and it tied in a whole bunch of things, but at the same time it gave hints of potential themes that can be explored next season. And I'm hopeful that they have been next season has been procured, and they've actually started the writing process as well as taping. But in the time of Corona, none of those things are a bet. So I basically spoke about episode 9 in my last Unapologetically Nerdy episode, because it was through basically Romulan manipulation. As I said, there was a synth attack on the Mars shipyard. There was also conjecture in fandom on YouTube, etc., about Alton Sung or Sung Jr. actually being lore. None of that actually played out, but I find it intriguing that people would think that. Is a good guess, though. And it was like all of the bad things and the things that Sung wished she could edit out, like sociopathy and being a jackass, his own son and lore, those types of anagrams and those types of things were replicated in his synthetic offspring as well as his natural offspring. So I thought that was cool. And basically towards the end of episode 9, all of the crew, the ragtag crew that is, finds out about the degenerative neurogenic disorder that's going to eventually kill Picard. And all of them are pretty broken up about it. But it is through his mortality that he teaches the synthetics and the rest of them how to live, or gives them something to live for. So in Arcadia Ego Part 2, it's basically sets the Borgs or the SB to play a role in this conflict, because one of the greatest fight scenes in the whole series actually takes place between Narissa and Seven of Nine. But I'll get to that later. The artifact basically crashes on the planet, and they're trying to get it together to be able to be used in subsequent conflicts and also to protect the planet. But they have to get the weapons online. But at the same time, Narissa, the sister of the incestuous duo, is trying to get the weapons online to destroy Picard's ship. And basically, they're trying to destroy the portal, which will let the synth snakes in that will eventually then go on to kill the organics. Try as I might, I've tried to hate Agnes Girardi. I can't stand her blonde hair. I can't stand her stupid face, but she continues to redeem herself. Number one, by removing the tracker device, although it was too late. Her murdering of Bruce Maddox, her boyfriend, her actual boyfriend on the show. And then her bumbling attitude, but she actually redeems herself. She scans and knows of Picard's mortality. She actually figures out how to use the Imaginator device that was given by the synths to Rios, and eventually he gets his ship back online. And then she uses it to perfect the Picard maneuver to hold off the invading battalion of Romulan ships coming to destroy the synth homeworld. Narek, who I could not figure out what happened to him after he tried to destroy the beacon and subsequently all the synths on the planet, trying to kill Soji again. He said something that was profound. The account of the history that he and Elnor told Rios and the black girl. He says his account was not a story or a tale. It was a history, because history repeats itself. But we know, as if you remember your history, you're bound to repeat it. That gives you hope that you can stop the series of events so as not to repeat the mistakes. And it comes down to who fighting whom. Evidently, the incestuous duo were trying to avenge the death of their parents, because it sounds like the parents were a part of the Zat Vash, and the son Narek was the black sheep of the family, and he found the duo, the demons, and sought to destroy her, of course, his girlfriend Soji. He failed again to kill the demon twin, but Narissa also loses her battle when Seven of Nine kicks her butt and then kills her. And as I said, it did lead to one of the best fight scenes, I think, on the series, besides all of the Elnor fight scenes where he beheading mofos and sending them to the death. And he asked them, do you choose to live? They say no. He has to kill them. I think that's pretty freaking awesome. But that's just me. I wanted to just comment again on the music, the cinematography, all of the action, and it just made it for just beautiful TV watching. And furthermore, we see Rios restoring power by using that thingamajigger, and how big of a butthead that Alton Sung is, and he's really not lore. He's just organic jackass. And it is obvious the Romulans won't stop until they get their task. And the task was they had to stand down because between them and the planet was a whole new battalion of United Federation fighter crafts headed off by none other than Will Riker. And so she actually cuts off the beacon. And again, Picard teaches them how to live by apparently dying. And of course, it breaks everybody up. Freaking JL made my play boyfriend just do an ugly cry. I mean, hiccups and all, child. It was crazy. But right before he kicked it, it seems that his brain or anagrams were scanned, mapped, and then transferred into all of the synaptic potential was actually then scanned and transferred and downloaded into a synth. There's a scene where he meets Data, and it looks like a dream and it feels like a dream, but it was some type of quantum matrix simulation, which is something complex and kind of between the here and now and death. And this is what I actually wanted to look up. I wanted to actually find a definition of purgatory, because I find that all of the Star Trek series has religious undertones, and I think it was on purpose. But let's see what purgatory is. Purgatory is defined, it's a Roman Catholic doctrine, a place or state of suffering inhabited by the souls of sinners who are expiating their sins before going to heaven. So this quantum matrix is a type of purgatory, and you can suffer in it if you never die, and if you just keep going on with no purpose. I get it. I guess that is a type of purgatory. So that's pretty deep. And again, the robot is teaching the organic something about living, because in order to be mortal, in order to be a human, there has to be an end to your mortality. You have to be mortal. It makes it all, that is the ultimate definition and support for a human being. And that's why Data asks, once Picard entered into his new synthetic body, that he ends his consciousness. Evidently, Bruce Maddox has extracted and recreated Data's positronic brain and mapped out the matrix. And he was his consciousness was living on forever within a machine. But that, I guess, within itself was a type of purgatory or punishment for Data. And if he ultimately wanted to be a human, he wanted to experience his mortality. So he asked Picard basically to end his consciousness. And the episode ends with Picard eulogizing Data. But before I go to that, when he comes back in this new improved Picard, he's still 94. He still is a little bit Botox and peeled and some fillers, because he don't look as wrinkly as he did before he died. But they did edit out that neurodegenerative disorder and gave him an extra 20 years to live. And he did look kind of closer to the old school Picard that we know of from Next Generation, or at least the last movie, and not so busted up like the 80-year-old dude he is. But anyways, JL eulogizes Data and fulfills his last wish by ending his consciousness and in effect killing him. And that's his last human act. Again, in order to be ultimately human, you have to die. and make right choices, and also support your fellow man. And Data did that in spades, because he gave up his life and his consciousness and downloaded into B4, his another one of android predecessors, but he saved him in the one of the last episodes of Star Trek. Then this planet and this band of misfits are on the edge of the universe, and also on the edge of discovery, with Admiral Picard at the helm, and he engages, and it sets up several possible themes for next season. Again, I don't know what happened to that treacherous Narek, and how he's going to play a role in the leading of this next generation of Romulans, and have they really accepted the role of the synths now that the ban has been rescinded. And I think the Borg XBs and the Fenris Raiders with 7 of 9 is also going to have a very active role and a fun role in this next episodes or next season 2. And how will the synths be reintegrated into society? And will all of the technology that Bruce Maddox and Crazy Soon had on the edge of this planet, will it be accepted and adapted into the everyday life of the new Federation? And will they be just more than maids and underclass or marginalized? Will they actually have a role in the rebuilding and the strengthening of the Federation? And so that's where I'm going to leave you. I'm going to choose to live, and I'm going to choose to live happily, and hopefully continuing to research and know my history, so I will not make the mistakes again and again and again. I don't want to be the definition of insanity. I'm going to choose to live sane. This podcast is my path of entertainment and a form of therapy and an outlet for creative freedom. But if you don't have this outlet and you're struggling with depression, anxiety, or addiction, call 1-800-273-8255. It's available 24 hours a day, every day. And there's also an on-site chat feature at suicidepreventionlifeline.org/chat/. If vodka is your problem, call 1-800-662-HELP. That's 1-800-662-4357. Then there's also apps like TalkSpace and Doctor on Demand that will actually be able to help you right where you are in the privacy of your car at a fraction of the cost of conventional therapy. It's okay not to be okay, and it's definitely okay to ask for help. Please navigate to www.Dale's Angels Inc. for all special offers and updates on nerd news, as well as you can drop me a line at TennesseeFroisReading@gmail.com, or even leave me a 2-minute non-trolling message at 423-463-0658. All non-trolling messages may actually be read or played during the podcast. If you like what you're hearing and you want to support continued great content, please become a patron at podbean.com/The Talking Fro, or put 5 on it and leave me a tip at paypal.me/Felicia DAI. And I hope you have enjoyed this podcast as much as I have enjoyed creating it. Thank you.